Yay! Hello and welcome to Somewhere on the Spectrum. I am Emma. Hi. In a moment of absolute genius yesterday, I decided that I would definitely have the energy to do a live today. After hosting my first party in 4 years and having people staying overnight at my house. Was that the best idea I ever had? Possibly not. Never mind, it's fine, everything's fine. Don't panic, it'll be fine. So we are today talking about work. I want to talk a little bit about connect to work and also about this rather silly situation that we find ourselves in this current environment. So hopefully there'll be something in here that you can relate to. Feel free to pop things in the chat if you have questions or if you have things that you would like to know or talk about, whatever, drop them in the chat. Okay, so today I want to talk a little bit about the catch-22 that we find ourselves in regarding work as neurodiverse people. The government, via the DWP, has recently funded a project called Connect to Work. It's been delivered by different organizations around the country. Inspira is one of the main ones that has the contract. So you can look for Inspira to see if you can use it in your area. And yeah, you might need to Google a little bit to find who's going to be the best provider for you or whatever. But I think Inspira is the main one for me. Anyway, the project sounds good. It's helping people with disabilities get into work. And the idea is that they want to help you find the perfect job. Sounds good, sounds good. The project is brand new this year. So inevitably, there will be some teething problems. I'm trying to be optimistic, but yeah, we're still in the wait and see phase. The idea is that your job coach will get to know you. So there is quite a lot of time provided in the sort of allowance for this. So the idea is that your job coach is getting to know you, figure out what you need, what your disabilities are, what your limitations are, and what kind of accommodations are going to be helpful, but also like, what do you actually want to do? Obviously. And they are going to work with you to try and find the right company, and then work with the company to help you get the accommodations that you need. And the idea is that they will continue working with you once you get the job and continue working with the company to make that sort of last a little bit longer. Oh, no, that's not right. To mean that you are building that situation within the company so that you can stay there. That's the idea. So the idea is you're going to get a job that you're going to keep for a long time. And that's what they're helping you find. Many of you will probably have heard governments complaining about not enough people working, and in particular, young people. We have heard our very own Keir Starmer complaining about young people not doing enough work. And yeah, there are problems. I appreciate this project. I appreciate that they have decided to put some money into something like this. I appreciate that they're willing to fund and try to help people with disabilities get back into work or get into work for the first time. That's good. I honestly hope that it really is helpful for many people. But my frustration is that the onus is on us again. Where is the government investment in business training, in making sure all workplaces are accessible to people with wheelchairs, in making sure employers understand the law around disabilities and are abiding by it? It seems like this is not necessarily part of what is being done. And if it is, it's perhaps individual discussions with the companies, but it's not being done on a large scale. So how much of a long-term impact is that going to have? It's a mystery. Who knows? So that's really my frustration with this. It's a lot of funding. It's a lot of time. I appreciate that. I hope it has a positive impact. but I feel like this needs to be a bit more of a holistic effort. The thing is that many young people and people with disabilities and others generally in the world actually desperately want to work. And that's the thing that I feel like the government has missed in a lot of the sort of complaining that it seems to feel like they have about people not working. And they make it sound like we don't want to work. And actually, in my experience of talking with people on the spectrum, that's rarely the case. But how is the government helping us deal with all of the challenges? So not just a disability, right? And that's the thing that I really wanted to focus on today. It's not just about disability. That's not the only thing that's a barrier to us. It is a massive barrier. But being told that we need to go back to work or get to work at this particular junction in time, there are a lot of other things in the way. And this doesn't seem to be a holistic discussion within the government. So some of the other things. How is the government helping us deal with recruitment via AI systems that recognize applications only written by similar models? So these are research that has been done that shows that if you wrote your application with the same AI model that they are using to judge your application, that AI model is much more likely to get you into an interview than if you chose a different model. That is problematic, especially when huge numbers of companies are outsourcing their immediate HR and recruiting to AI. How is my job coach, for example, going to discuss my needs with a potential employer before I've applied, right? The question is, what's the point of applying if you know this employer is not going to help you? So we need to make sure that it's worth putting the effort in. Does the employer want to consider someone with disabilities? Are they willing to make accommodations? Would this position even be possible? Is their building even accessible? So these kind of basic level questions the job coach wants to ask first before we go to the next stage. So how can they even do that when no HR team will talk to the job coach until they get an interview? How am I going to access work when whenever I mention autism in an application form, I don't get an interview, no matter how much experience or qualifications I have, literally? Like, how are we supposed to get work in that way? And how would an employer choose someone with a disability? Why? Why would an employer choose someone with a disability over an able-bodied person at a time when so many qualified people have been made redundant due to AI encroachment? So my point with that question is there are so many people now who are out there desperately looking for a job. Why would an employer who already isn't really prepared for people with disabilities choose one of us rather than one of the people that isn't going to come with any of these challenges? So it just seems to me that while I appreciate the investment, there are many other elements that are not really being taken into account or dealt with in any way that are going to prevent success from happening, at least in some cases. Sure, maybe I'm just being too negative. I hope that's all it is. But I've heard so many sad stories about work from our community. We get a diagnosis, we hit perimenopause or burnout or both, and can no longer function. We become an unwanted burden on society. We want to work. We are often filled with shame because we can't work. But does that shame really belong to us? Are we right to dwell in shame because our employer refused to accommodate our needs, no matter how small they were? And I have heard some stories of really tiny accommodations that were asked for and refused, despite the fact that it's like legally they're supposed to give us accommodations. That is not actually what's happening in many real life situations. Is it shameful to need to do work you're passionate about? Like, one of the things for many autistic people is that actually We want to do the work. We really struggle to do work that is not interesting to us. Sure, there's a lot of people who want to do repetitive work, but there's usually something in it that they are attracted to that's keeping them invested in that. And there's a sort of sense that your attachment, investment, or enthusiasm about work becomes a problem. The fact that you want to improve things all the time, you want to make everything better, kind of seems to become a problem in a lot of workplaces, to the point that some people even get fired. So often post burnout or perimenopause, our struggle with work has less to do with ability. Often by this time in life, we have the ability, but it is worth noticing that skills regression and skills loss does happen as part of autistic burnout. So that's a separate thing, definitely does exist, is valid. But this problem is less to do with that ability and more to do with capacity. Very often we quickly lose capacity. We don't have the energy anymore to do the work. Our energy becomes extremely variable. We can't commit to repetitive, predictable energy. And in our modern capitalist world, this variable capacity makes us flaky, unmotivated, even disloyal. We're not trying hard enough. We're being lazy or we're being difficult. What infuriates me is the loss of skills, knowledge, insight, and passion caused by workplaces refusing to budge. What I mean is, for our society, we all do, and I'm including all people with disabilities, and I think also I'm including all young people and all people who've been made redundant through AI. In fact, we all have skills, knowledge, insight, passion, creativity, all sorts of things like that. And all of that is being lost to society because workplaces, employers, companies, corporations don't want to accommodate anything, whether that is increased wages or working from home or flexibility of time. There's so many things that workplaces would rather everything stays the same. You come to work, you keep the same time scale, same timetables, same wages don't change, everything stays the same. And without any flexibility, it means that people are leaving the workplace or not able to get into the workplace, which means that's a lot of stuff, of qualities that are of value to the world that are not being made use of. Workplaces refuse to budge from their 40-hour, 9 to 5 from office work, from their hierarchy. The conformity of the workplace requires predictability and social skills. Neither of these things are required for us to do our jobs well. But often it seems like they are more important to workplaces than our actual ability to do the job. That kind of sounds a lot more like workplaces are starting to sound like the military or school than a workplace, right? That expectation of conformity to specific things that they want, starting to sound worrying. Can't imagine why. So here we are living in a world where we are forced to work to live, but which requires that we work according to a strict hierarchy, time schedule, and socialization pattern. We, as people with disabilities and certainly neurodiversity, would like to be of service to the world. Many of us don't see why that has to be connected to our survival. In this version of the world, we will need support to work. And that's really the tricky thing for this whole situation. If you want to keep work as a thing dependent on that hierarchy, on that schedule, on that socialization, then that means that you are limiting it to a smaller group of people. If you can increase your capacity, increase the possibility for flexibility within the workplace, then you're increasing the number of people who can work. And this is a key point that I don't feel like the government has really considered. It's really this feeling like the employees are the problem and the workplaces don't need to evolve. But I think what we're finding is, especially with the younger generation coming in, it is important for the workplaces to evolve. And in that evolution, they will also be able to expand to include people with diversity, if they're willing. If you made more accessible, if you make work more accessible for the most vulnerable of us, it would be accessible for everyone, which of course is the same for everything. Whether we're talking about a footpath or a building or a workplace or a house, if you make it accessible for the most vulnerable of us, then it becomes accessible for everyone. From a neurodiversity perspective, the way my brain works, I ask, why wouldn't you do that? That seems like the most logical answer. Unfortunately, that would require a little flexibility from workplaces and government. And it seems like they're not quite there yet, which is unfortunate. Anyway, that's all I got to say about that today. I hope that's useful, or at least makes you feel like you're not alone. This is very much a common frustration of mine when it comes to work and accessing work. I am using Connect to Work at the moment with, basically, I'm just keeping it an open mind about it for now. I have already become frustrated with the upper level that are dealing with this and their inflexibility to consider what their service users might need. Whether that's a small local problem or a larger problem, you'll have to let me know in the comments if you have similar experiences. I don't know. But hopefully this is a useful thing that over time will become more valuable to us as a community. There certainly seems to be a lot of money that's been put into it. But I think that in isolation, Connect to Work can't really solve all of our problems because it's not an isolated problem. We, as a disability or disabled community, are not the problem, not the entirety of the problem. And in fact, we're often the ones putting in a lot of effort. But this is a complex thing, right? There are a lot of different elements to it. And I feel like that complexity has been missed, and it's not being, the challenge is not being considered from a variety of angles. Perhaps that's my limited viewpoint. Maybe there are lots of things going on that I don't know about. But for me, it seems like this is a little bit, the onus is being put entirely on the worker to step up and do things. And actually, this is a two-way relationship. So yeah, it's interesting. Oh, good. That's good. That's good. Yeah. Hopefully we can find, there seems to be a lot of good people that are coming into this, and certainly a lot of people that have positive outlooks and lots of skills. So hopefully, yes, yay. Hopefully our Connect to Work people can help us out and give us support. Fingers crossed. All right. So if you found that useful, please like, subscribe, share, whatever you want to do. That's great. Helps the channel. And I still have I do have a computer, obviously this one, but my big computer is still broken. So hopefully that will be fixed soon. I am planning to do another live on Wednesday, which will be about, oh, joy. Oh, that's nice. It will be about, literally, that's what it's about, joy. No, wait, what? Hang on. It might be about baby talk. I think maybe we have 5 weeks in this month. Do we have 5 weeks in this month? I think maybe we do. Okay, so then I should be doing 2 before I leave. I don't know how I'm going to do that. I might be doing a live on Wednesday and then another live on the following Sunday. I'll try to set them up like I did this one, where they're set up in advance, so you know they're coming and you can sign up for them if you want to. So let's say that on Wednesday, I'm going to be talking about baby talk. I hope you know what that is. And then on the next Sunday, I'm going to be talking about joy, which is a nice thing to be talking about. And then after that, I'm going to be on holiday for 2 weeks, and then we have to wait and see if the computer's fixed. All right. Thanks so much for tuning in, those of you who did, and I will see you next time. Bye. Have a good Sunday.